Hi, this is Joan Michelson of Green Connections. I'm here at the VERGE San Francisco 2013 conference with Joel Macower. Did I do this right?
Macower,
who is chairman and executive editor of GreenBiz Group, which produced VERGE San Francisco 2013. And for our listeners out there, we're going to be doing recurring segments periodically with Joel. So I'm very excited about that. And today, because we're in a unique space where we've been at VERGE for 3 days, we've been hearing about sustainable cities, about the changes going on in really every sector. The tagline of where tech meets sustainability is so key. And we've been hearing about all kinds of technologies. Let's do sort of a high level start here. What are the takeaways from the last, what pops into your head from the last 3 days of these incredible conversations?
Well, because there have been so many incredible conversations, that's a big ask, and there's a lot going on. But it's not just where tech meets sustainability, that is the tagline, but it's actually how technology accelerates sustainability solutions and creates opportunities for business. What are the big business opportunities at the convergence of energy technology, information and communications technology, building technology, energy technologies? What happens when those start to mash up in terms of creating resilient cities and connected cars and intelligent buildings and using all these great technologies? That's what the conversation that's been going on here. And I think one of the big takeaways, Joan, is that there's this hunger for interconnectedness that, about a third of the people here have never been or would ever go to a sustainability conference, and another third have never been or would ever go to a technology conference. And there's this new meeting ground somewhere in the middle, and that's what we've created with VERGE, this place where companies and cities and big companies and small technology innovators and disruptors can really look at the vision of what's going on. And I think above everything else, there's clearly a hunger for that kind of conversation to be taking place.
Well, that's really interesting. So you've literally converged different populations who would not normally be talking to each other.
Exactly.
And I would imagine part of that is because they get overwhelmed with the dailiness of their own to-do list, if you will.
Well, it's just, you get stuck in a silo.
Right, exactly. And one of the things we talked about today in particular was breaking out of silos,
right,
and driving innovation. One of the challenges, I spent many years in corporate America and driving innovation in those companies, and not only because of the literal physical silo structure, but because of the cultural silos. It was really hard to bring people together. When I was creating an alliance between two units, say, of American Express, they'd look at me like I had 10 heads.
Yeah.
But in fact, they seemed so natural to me.
Yeah.
One of the key things that goes with what you just said, and to take it maybe to another direction, is it's really about timing, because we have all these innovators in the corporate sector, in cities, and entrepreneurs who are innovating at the same time these infrastructures are being built and rebuilt and retrofitted, at the same time that we have adoption as a problem, customer adoption, consumers adoption. And it's almost like it's a matter of timing of which innovation is ready, depending upon how you define ready, at the time that the city is ready to put the funding in place for it, at the same time that the private sector is ready to deliver it,
yeah,
and the consumer is ready to adopt it. I mean, electric cars are a classic example. You've had the Volt here as a test drive, which is great. But electric cars, people talk about it as if it's hugely ubiquitous, when in fact it's a fraction, a very small fraction of the car market. There are really huge adoption issues there, and you talked about those today with the car guys. So talk about the timing issue. How do you suggest, or what do you hear about ways to figure that one out?
Well, timing is part of it. I mean, technology has been coming out, new technology, every day of the week for the past 30 years. And so it's not just suddenly that there's new technology, and the timing is part of it, but part of it is the vision, number one, and what's possible. We're starting to see a more systems view of smart smart cars and smart buildings and smart cities, and hopefully smart people playing with all this, but a vision of what's possible. And we're also starting to see the driver, which is we're seeing hurricanes, we're seeing economic upheaval, and we're seeing that there's a need for resilience. And so now it's not just about doing the right thing. It's not about saving the earth. It's not about doing well by doing good. This has become a hedge against risk. So the timing, as much as anything, is about risk and resilience. And so you combine the drivers of risk and resilience, you look at the vision of what's possible. We're starting to get people, we heard from Puck Mickleby, a retired Marine colonel, who's starting to actually be able to give a vision of what happens if we get things right. That's new. We haven't had that before.
He talked about having too much of a focus on risk.
Right. And so we have the vision, we have the driver, and then we have the technology, and that's starting to come to play as everything gets smarter and more embedded with sensors and smaller and cheaper and faster and better. So it's really that convergence as much as anything. But in order for that convergence to happen, you've got to have not only companies coming together, not only big companies and small companies, not only big companies, small companies and cities, but within companies, these silos, to your point, have to start breaking down. And one of the things we've described VERGE, I say that VERGE, this event, is really what sustainable business should be about. Systems thinking, radical efficiency, innovation, breaking through silos, improving lives and moving the needle. And moving the needle on environmental, critical issues. And so much of what we see in this space, and I've been covering this space for 25 years, is not that. It's about incremental eco-efficiency improvement, necessary but highly insufficient. So we're trying to get the systems here, we're trying to get people to think bigger, we're trying to get people to play well together, whether they're inside a company or inside of a value chain, and that's what's really exciting.
And get more comfortable with disruptive innovation thinking, even in big companies and in big cities, which are both naturally risk averse.
Yeah, but big companies have, look at the changes that have happened in terms of technology disruption, in terms of how we get information and communicate and travel and find one another and all sorts of things. And we change all the time, and we've changed quite a bit in your and my lifetime, and your and my adult lifetime. And so it's not that change is hard. It can be, behavioral change can be hard, but we're constantly moving along these new routes. But what's interesting is I think there's starting to be a vision of, and some new drivers about why we're doing this, not just because it's cooler, not just because it's cheaper, faster, better, but because this is what we really need to do as a society and as an economy to be safe and secure.
So the why is going from more of just a profit motive to an environmental motive, and there are business opportunities in there.
Well, make no mistake, there's trillions of dollars to be made in this, and the profit motive will always drive this forward. But it's not just around innovation for the sake of innovation, which a lot of the cool stuff we carry around and use every day has been. It's actually got a little bit more of a focus.
Yep, and a purpose. Yeah. One of the things, and I'll close with this discussion, is big data. Big data was a huge theme here the last few days, and you run into the issues of privacy and also systems collection, et cetera. But you have cities who have data. I love the example of, I think it was a city of was it San Francisco, that's working with Yelp to post the health records of the restaurants so that people can choose based on that, which is amazing. Some cities post them in the newspaper, but nobody reads it, right? So I think this is great. And it's a really good example of capturing the data, this collaboration, capturing the data from big cities and using it for the sake of consumers, multi-purposing, but you also have the privacy issues. Now those are public records, so it's a different paradigm. But we also have the consumer who's really concerned about this whole collection of data issues. Can you talk a little bit about what you heard about? Respond to that and what you heard about big data here in the last few days?
Well, there's been so much, we talk about technology meets sustainability. It's really the data part of technology that we're talking about, how information gets used to radically make things radically more efficient. But yeah, there's a downside of data. We talked about it a little bit. It wasn't the real purpose of the conference. It came up, here and there. But yeah, I mean, I interviewed Matt Rogers, the vice president of engineering and founder of Nest Labs. They make this thermostat and now a smoke detector that's very smart and cool. These are the guys who invented the iPod, and they basically recreated that team now in this home appliance company. And it talked about a smoke detector that knows when there's people in the house and can talk to the thermostat, first of all, to keep the temperature at a certain point, but also, just knows, where do you need to, if there's a fire, where do you need to evacuate people and what's going on. Maybe someday we'll even communicate with the fire department when they show up to say, there's nobody here, don't worry about it, or there's 7 people and a cat. But there's also privacy issues there. Who's home with someone I know and love, or what's going on, or where are our kids and what are they doing and what rooms are they in, or the
where's
the maid
dog?
or
Is the dog hiding under the bed in the kids' room?
Well, that's less privacy, but I care less about the dog than some other humans. But you get the point.
Yeah.
With every technology, whether it's Facebook and Twitter or cell phones, you can track your kids or your friends or whatever. There's privacy issues, and those will work out. That will be a conversation that we have.
We're voluntarily giving up a lot of our privacy in those
Yeah,
media.
I think little by little we've become much more comfortable with giving away little bits of who we are and where we are and what we're doing and what we like and buy and all that stuff. And there will be boundaries that people cross, and we'll figure that out. But I'm less concerned about that. That's a nice problem to have, because it means that this technology is becoming ubiquitous and powerful. But I think we can find that sweet spot where half the people think it's too private and half the people think it's not private enough. That means we're doing something right.
Exactly. By the way, in the Nest discussion, I liked your reference to when you said the voice activated thing, and you're hearing, you can visualize this couple where
voice activated thermostat.
They have 2 different temperature gauges, and
I'm too hot, I'm too cold,
right, exactly.
and the thermostat starts going crazy.
Yeah, so maybe we can set it to listen to one party or the other, one voice
the whole
or the other.
dysfunctional attitude about the thermostats.
Right. Well, thank you also for the privilege of being the host for Sidebar.
Oh, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
It was really great talking with the online audience and working with Mo Al-Sharaf, who was terrific moderating the online chats. So thank you so much, Joel, for being here and for doing what you've done. You started this discussion, as you say, 25 years ago, and look at where we are now.
Yeah.
Now it's commonplace. And you were a big contributor to that. So thank you very much. Chairman and Executive Editor of GreenBiz, and we will talk again soon.
Yeah, look forward to that.
Thank you so much, Joan Michelson for Green Connections. We'll be back in a bit. Bye. Thank you, sir.